Welcome back to another community tier list. Today we're going to be voting on all of the Save the World abilities. I give the exact same disclaimer in every single one of these videos that we have a lot of people here of all different skill levels and all different experience levels and all different voting criteria. So don't take this list too seriously. I will be commentating it as we go along. This is mostly for fun, but every time I've recorded these, the answers have been pretty much accurate. So yeah, let's just start the vote for the viewers in chat. Everybody can click the link pinned at the top if you're watching this on the stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, description down below, we'll have another link to a different tier list that is available kind of forever. So you can leave your votes as well and see how it stacks up. Bull Rush, A tier? What? Bull Rush is really good for pushing a single target or a group of enemies off the wall of your base. It does some okay damage, but it's mostly for moving things off. It can be great in a panic versus a smasher, stopping in its tracks. Does that make it A tier? I don't know. Situationally S tier, but I would put that B tier. I don't think that's that useful of an ability more often than not, but you guys wanted A tier, so A tier it goes. Warcry is an easy S tier. It just boosts you and your teammates. We've only got 56 votes. I happen to know we've got more than 100 other people watching that are not in the tier list right now, so you guys should absolutely join in, get involved, and vote alongside us, because I want to see how many people we can get participating here. Yeah, Warcry is really great just for boosting your damage, your fire rate. All of your teammates get boosted as well. Super, super great ability for everybody. And I think S tier is where that should be. Yeah, it's not very spammable. You can't use it that often, but it's great regardless. Let's see here. Throwing stars. So shurikens are great for ranged ninja damage. It actually does really good single target damage. It does pierce through crowds of enemies as well. So yeah, it's got like A tier damage, but it doesn't really do groups. I think B tier is fine. There are plenty of times when I'm running a ninja loadout with a melee and I don't have any ranged weapons, and keeping a xenon bow as a secondary can work if you need to do some range damage, but shurikens can be a great way to do that without costing any ammo whatsoever. I think B tier is fair. It's kind of nice sometimes, but not really the main ability of your build. Let's see here. Teddy. Unlike Teddy, as far as abilities go, I'll put it in S tier. It's not the strongest ability in the game. That would be the minigun or the lefty and righty. It is really good just as a third drone. You put it down and it auto kills the things. In a low enough level mission, you can get through like encampments missions really easy. This is excellent for saving survivors. It can work when you're just starting out in ventures. It's a very versatile ability. And because of all of that, I think S tier is fair, but I can understand the A tier, where the damage from the Teddy is not that great. So it's kind of situational, I guess. Smoke bomb, you guys are saying B tier. It can be really good for killing a bunch of enemies around you. If you're running melee builds, that's exactly why this is an ability for ninjas. If you're running melee builds, it can be really great for just slapping it down and panicking out of a situation. It won't one-shot everything, but it'll work, and I think B tier is fair. It's not an extremely strong ability. It's pretty spammable, and it's just what you need when you need it. So I think B tier is where it should go. And that's true for like a lot of the abilities in the game. A lot of them are really balanced or completely terrible. And Shockwave, kind of like Smoke Bomb. I'm a little more partial to it because I think it just does more damage. It feels more useful. And if you're jumping off of a high place, you can absolutely use the Shockwave to break your fall. If you just jump from a mountain and then Shockwave right before you hit the ground, it'll reset your fall damage, and it's awesome for that. So utility is great. It does great damage to the enemies around you. Typically, when you're outputting damage, ranged, like soldier builds are typically stronger than melee, but some melee builds are insane. I'm just saying, like, if soldiers are like 100% damage, melees are like 95. So having Shockwave is usually more useful, but yeah. Then, of course, the ability that's actually similar to those two for Outlanders is Shock Tower. Shock Tower zaps a bunch of enemies nearby, staggers them all, stuns them all. It's pretty good. C tier is fair because the damage is not exceptional. It'll more stall every enemy. It kind of breaks their impact barriers and makes them stop moving. It's nice in a group, but it only lasts a couple seconds and then it's gone, and it's not anything you want to rely on. I think C tier is fine. Seismic Smash is actually really good. It's basically like an upgraded shockwave, but it's focused into a stream, I guess, if you wanted to explain it. It's really strong. I'll put it in A tier. I use this all the time when I'm running Ranger Deadeye or Beetlejuice in the lead, two very good offensive Outlanders. If you use the Seismic Smash ability, it'll clear the crowd in front of you, killing most of them, and it'll actually do a significant chunk to a Mist monster. So, pretty solid. Pretty solid. The impact is pretty solid on this as well. It'll stop a bunch of enemies from attacking you, and I'm a fan of the Seismic Smash ability. I used to say it's underrated, but this poll is reinforcing some of my beliefs. Rosie. Rosie got an update a while ago, and I'm actually personally happy because they posted on Reddit what they wanted from the community, and my personal post did really well. It might have been the top voted on that, and my feedback actually made it into the game. They took away, I believe they took away the ammo capacity, or they improved it. It doesn't overheat. One of those things changed. I think it doesn't overheat anymore. The ammo capacity stayed. The damage drop-off is still there. They added a shield bubble to it. They made it better. They made it better. I think they improved ammo capacity with one of the heroes. It makes it like 180 or something, but it's strong. You can put it down versus a mini boss. You can use it to defend your builds, but it's just not enough. I think B tier is fine. It's got a crazy long cooldown. I think I still touch the cooldown, but it's still too long. I don't know. It's still so conservative, but it works. It works. Plasma Pulse, I believe is what we're looking at here, is basically the constructor version of Shockwave, Smoke Bomb, and Shock Tower. Plasma Pulse goes down, does a bunch of damage to the enemies around it, but as you can see by the D tier, it's not that much damage to the crowd. Have you guys ever dropped a Plasma Pulse on a single target? It will kind of, it'll mess up a Mist monster. Honestly, the A tier, it's like A or S tier damage if you drop it on a single target. If you drop it on the head of a smasher, it'll do great. I think C tier is more fair. I think D is really low. Plasma Pulse is really strong. It's just got a crazy long cooldown. Phase Shift is easy S tier. It's a movement ability. When you're running Outlander, almost all of them have Phase Shift. A few key ones don't, like Cyberclops. Phase Shift gets you around the map, speeds you around, and it was already an S tier ability just for being that usable. The cooldown is really forgiving. It's awesome to use. But you can use it to reload with Chaos Agent, which means builds like the most insane build in Save the World is totally viable. You can instantly reload your weapon, activating Chaos Agent, priming that Black Metal 6 perk, and then the next hit does millions of damage. And that's not Phase Shift being awesome, but the Phase Shift is instrumental in that. Another easy S tier one. Lefty and Righty is, again, I haven't really done the math on Lefty and Righty versus Minigun, but they're two completely different playstyles, so it doesn't really matter. Lefty and Righty is one of the two strongest abilities in the game. This can, okay, let's see. It can do 25% more damage and explosions if you use Raven, but if you use Carbide in the lead, it can bounce around and be super, super crazy strong in dungeons. Very, very fun ability. It's awesome. We do have one F vote that was an accident. I think Xenombo meant S tier. Xenombo is actually the username of that person. Crazy name, I know, but Kunai, not to be mistaken with Lynx's Kunai. The Kunai ability itself, throwing shurikens down, is not A tier. I have no idea where you guys are getting that opinion. It's kind of like a smoke bomb. It's very similar, but it does more damage and doesn't stick around. You guys say it's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, I'll put it in B tier. I would not say A tier. It's really good for some extra damage. Most abilities are. You can just use it for free. It doesn't cost any ammo. But it does a lot of damage, but not that much damage. Goen's Constructor, that's an easy F tier. You are slow, clunky, the damage is alright, but there are a lot easier ways to do a lot more damage than that. You got a cooldown on this ability, so you can't even use it whenever you want. I don't know about Goen Constructor. I don't think there's really any saving grace for it. I remember when they updated this perk and they made it a lot stronger than it used to be, and with optimal loadouts, dedicating the entire build to this ability, it was still not that great. I've tried, and it did not impress. Minigun, easiest S tier yet. Minigun loadouts are super popular because of, let me just find him real quick. Commando. I use the special one, but I'm looking for Commando Spitfire, this dude right here. That 66% cooldown plus Happy Holidays plus the entire duration of your extended minigun, if you use Sergeant Jonesian support to extend it by 5 seconds, that minigun cooldown after all the bonuses are applied is about 5 seconds, which is just enough time to catch your breath and then pull it right back out again. Minigun is incredibly strong while it's outputting all that damage. Amazing ability. Frag grenades actually do really good damage. They can also be used to reload with Chaos Agent very effectively. They do pretty good crowd clearing. I'd put it in B tier. Yeah, it's not A tier. It's nothing extraordinary, but if you ever have a crowd of enemies in front of you, I use this a lot in ventures where your weapons are kind of trash and your ammo is limited and you don't want to break your good weapons. Throwing a grenade can be just what you need to get those last few kills. Again, not a very exciting ability, but it does the job when you need it, and I think B tier is perfectly fine. It looks like we've all voted, so I'm just going to skip ahead to the next one, save us all a few seconds. Dragon Slash, easy S tier. Its single target damage is very poor. This will not take down a smasher or anything like that, but its crowd clearing is tremendous. Dragon Slash is a great way to just swoosh through the crowd, take out 70% of the baby enemies, then you use your melee. I assume you're using a ninja loadout if you're running Dragon Slash. I assume you're running a melee build in that case. That is where you take out your melee, focus on the big targets. Really, really good ability. Any ninja that has Dragon Slash is just improved by it, and definitely a solid one you want to try out. What do we got here? Crescent Kick or Decoy? Decoy is pretty good. So it doesn't do any damage without any hero perks. On its own, it does no damage. But it can corral a bunch of enemies to one space where you can hurt them all at once. It's not, you know, it's not instrumental to the game, but it can be a nice thing to have. And I think B tier is fair. I really don't see where all the D tier votes are coming from. I think B or A tier is much more appropriate. This is one of those phenomenons we see in public polls because people in chat sometimes explain themselves, but not always. I'd love to ask the D tier voters what that's about. If you're memeing, you can just say it, but yeah. And then we're all on the same fence about Crescent Kick. Crescent Kick has a low range, albeit it can hit everything right in front of you. Super low damage. The cooldown, if you could spam it 30 times a second, the cooldown would be too long. It's bad. It's really bad. Somebody's saying they're pretty sure it can stop a smasher. I don't know if it can. Okay, if Crescent Kick can stop a smasher, then it's S tier. But no, Crescent Kick's pretty bad. Kind of an anticlimactic one to end on. But yeah, my list is actually pretty similar to the crowds. I think I disagreed on several of them, and I explained myself as I went along. But yeah, I think the S tier ones we were all on the same page about. S tier and A tier we were all pretty tied up there, because even the ones that I put in A tier were still B tier. So like, that's the thing about abilities. There are some abilities that you just kind of almost never use. I'm looking at Rosie right there, but you do use it for like clearing out buildings or laying into a mini boss. That could be really good if you're a constructor, because most constructor builds, of course, don't do that much damage. You are mostly focused on defensive capabilities with making your builds strong. So you're typically, even if you're using a mythic weapon, not doing that much. So Rosie can be your best target versus a mini boss, but it's still not that much damage. You'll help, but it's not that much. So there are some abilities that you just never use, but then there are some, okay, I don't know about Bull Rush. I still think that's too high, but there are some abilities that you use all the time. All the time. Minigun's super popular, Dragon Slash super popular, Phase Shift is amazing. Yeah. These are some great abilities, and those are the ones that are good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below what you thought. There should be another list in the description as well for you guys to vote on YouTube if you want to see where you line up with everybody else watching the video. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.